My name is Roz Harmon, and I'm the Sales Tax Processing Division Manager. And I would just like to take a moment to provide a very general overview of how sales and use taxes are handled in Illinois. Illinois imposes a tax on the sale or use of tangible personal property in the state based on gross receipts. The base state tax rates are 6.25% on general merchandise and 1% on groceries, drugs, or medical appliances. Now, food sold for immediate consumption, such as restaurant meals or carryout, is taxed at 6.25%. Also, local governments may add on municipal taxes that are combined into a higher rate, which is why you'll see higher rates in some Illinois cities and towns, such as 7.75%, 10.25%, etc. These local taxes get allocated back to the local units of government, including the monies collected as part of the 1% tax charged on food, drugs, and medical devices. If the taxpayer transfers tangible personal property, TPP, as part of the services they provide, and sales of TPP make up 35% or more of their annual income, they will need to register and to file and pay service occupation tax with IDOR. However, if the services provided are for pharmacy or graphic arts, the de minimis limit is based on whether the TPP makes up 75% or more of their annual income. If the service provider doesn't meet de minimis, they may pay the service occupation tax to their supplier. If the supplier is out of state or not registered with IDOR, then the service person must register with IDOR to pay the service use tax. Sales and use taxes are reported on the ST1. If the retailer has multiple sites, they must also include the ST2 to break out receipts at the correct rate for each location. Additionally, retailers may have to file other forms depending on their location and type of business. So for example, if they're in Chicago and they're a grocery or food retailer, they may need to file the ST14 Chicago Soft Drink Tax Return, or the ST4, the Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Authority, MPEA, Food and Beverage Tax Return, and that return includes ST7 for multiple sites. If they're motor fuel retailers, they may need to file the CMFT1, the County Motor Fuel Tax Return, for motor fuel sales in DuPage, Kane, McHenry, or Will counties, and that return includes the CMFT2 for multiple sites. And if there are municipal taxes due, the taxpayer would need to file the MMFT1, the Municipal Motor Fuel Tax Return, for any other municipalities that impose fuel tax that is administered by IDOR, include the MMFT2 for multiple sites. Now let's talk about some important legislation that has impacted Illinois sales taxes. As a result of the Wayfair decision, Illinois mandated effective January 1st, 2021, that retailers located outside of Illinois with 200 transactions or $100,000 of sales per year must register with IDOR and file and pay sales and use taxes monthly. Another point to note is that if the retailer is located in Illinois and makes online sales, they should check to make sure that they don't need to register, file, and pay sales taxes in other states as well. Illinois is not the only one that picked up on the Wayfair. Marketplace facilitators like Amazon, Etsy, and eBay, etc., typically collect and remit sales taxes on behalf of the retailers using their platform. So if all of the retailer sales are handled by a marketplace facilitator, they typically don't have to register with IDOR. Now let's talk about some other recent legislative impacts. As of January 1st, 2023, auto dealerships are also subject to the same electronic filing mandate as any other retailer in the state for the ST556 return for vehicles sold at retail. And at this point, over 99% of ST556 returns are now filed electronically. As of January 1st, 2024, changes to motor fuel exemptions were included on Schedule A of the ST1. Taxpayers who sell motor fuel will need to ensure they are calculating their exemptions correctly. Another change as of January 1st, 2024, is that the Chicago prepaid wireless E911 rate for prepaid wireless telecom services decreased from 9% to 3%. Now let's talk about some common errors in sales tax that we see in the processing area. One common error is about amended returns and how and when returns should be amended. A common question we get is, how do I report merchandise returns since the ST1 does not allow negative figures? Basically, if there were sales in that same retail location for the current period, the receipts for returned merchandise may be subtracted from current receipts for that retail location. However, alternatively, if there were no current period sales for the location where the merchandise was returned, the taxpayer would need to amend the return for the period when the sale originally took place, rather than current period. Returned merchandise is location specific, so that the local government will get the appropriate allocation of money from IDOR for that month or for the amended period. Another common error is that taxpayers are required to notify IDOR of new selling locations, and if there are sales to locations where the business doesn't already have a registered site, the business needs to register that new site before filing the ST1. Taxpayers can register the new site using MyTax. If they don't, they'll get computation or ST2 errors if the new site isn't registered before they complete the ST1 on MyTax. Taxpayers may also call our Central Registration Division prior to filing the ST1 on the 20th of the next month to register the new site. Their information is included right here on the bottom of the slide. Now let's talk about some tips regarding sales tax. New business owners will register with IDOR in advance of any sales, but please be aware that once the business is registered, they will need to begin filing returns even for the first month, even if there were no sales, or even if they were only open for business for part of the month. Another common question from taxpayers that we get is that they just filed and paid the total amount due showing on their ST1, but MyTax is still showing an amount due. The reason usually is that the taxpayer has filed the return and taken the 1.75% retailer's discount, but MyTax still shows just the retailer's discount as a balance due until the return and payment are fully processed and posted, and that usually takes about 5 to 7 business days. Additionally, some new functionality is that IDOR has added capability for taxpayers to track credit movements for both ST1 and ST556 accounts. Auto dealers may track current credit amounts and liabilities by generating a credit letter or detailed liability statement in their ST556 account on MyTax. For ST1 account holders, retailers may call or email IDOR to request that a credit letter be generated for their account, and it will be viewable in MyTax the next day. This year in 2024, sales tax processing does plan to add capabilities so that the ST1 account holders may generate the credit letter in MyTax themselves. And the reason why the credit letter is valuable is because for Illinois in the sales tax accounts, if there are overpayments on one period, generally they'll roll if they're debt in a future period. And that automatic credit roll is something that the credit statements can help track. Finally, I wanted to share with you some helpful links regarding sales taxes. When the presentation is available after the webinar, I highly encourage you to click on these links and review the information. The first 2 links are to tax information, and these links cover everything taxpayers need to know about their obligations for the particular tax type, from the governing statute all the way down to forms and instructions. The second link is particularly helpful for businesses located in Cook County who may need to file additional forms besides the ST1, such as the ST4 or ST14, as previously discussed. The next link, the Taxpayer Answer Center, is filterable by topic. I highly encourage taxpayers to filter the FAQs by sales and use tax or excise tax and review the information to ensure that they are getting all the deductions and exemptions they should. The fourth link gets you to phone numbers and email addresses to get help with any kind of tax questions from our Taxpayer Assistance Division. And the last link gets you to phone numbers and email addresses for specific areas within IDOR, including central registration, audits, and specific collection sections, etc. And at this time, that is the end of my remarks, and email your questions to me directly, and we will get you an answer. Thank you so much.